Meeting to order then. Northwood School Board meeting, January 17th. We'll start with a roll call. Keith McWigan here. Shane Wells will be here shortly. Amy Hanneman.
Here.
Brian Winslow.
Here.
Dave Ruth.
Yes, see ya.
And say your name and title.
Oh, Ginger Joel, Secretary.
Scott Rooney, Superintendent.
Brianna Jackson, Co-Brown Student Rep.
Jocelyn Young, Principal.
And no assistant principal today?
No, he had some personal business to attend to.
Okay. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd like to lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, bills and manifests are going around. We'll start off with our report from the Co-Brown student representative.
Okay, so I was planning on talking about some events for the month of February and a few things that have happened in January, and some of the things that are going to be happening in February are the Poetry Out Loud competition, which they are planning on having on February 7th, which is basically where students from each grade, everyone in the school, memorizes poems from authors on the Poetry Out Loud website, and they have the option to compete for a place in the class to go on to the actual school Poetry Out Loud competition, and they recite poems and move up levels as they win. So that is a big thing in the school that we're doing right now. And then the class of 2020 is hosting the Winter Carnival this year, and they have chosen the theme country, so everyone's pretty excited for that. A bake sale is going to be held during that by one of the clubs at Co-Brown, and that is the Thursday and Friday before vacation. All the classes get together and we all perform for each other, and we do games together. It's a good bonding experience for all the classes. Peer Helpers is planning on doing a school spirit week. We're all planning on doing like dressing certain ways on certain days, so like American Flag Day and Twin Day, Decades Day, Flannel Day, and all the classes wear different colors on the Assembly Day, which the classes compete in a tug of war. So that's how we start our Winter Carnival. Some things that have happened in January are Co-Brown released their promotional video, which was a competition for students. Anyone could participate, and they were given footage of Co-Brown students and things that happened at Co-Brown, and they put it into a video, and it was, the final one was edited by senior Nathan Hoffman, and they have that on their website now, as well as the Facebook page. Zoology did ice fishing today, so they were out on Harvey Lake learning with experience, and a few of them caught some fish, so that was good. And then last night, for someone's senior project, they did the blood drive, and that is a optional senior component, so a lot of people showed up for that. They had to turn a few people away because they had so many people. And currently there are over 30 clubs at Co-Brown, so we pretty much have a little something for everyone. And for our niche rating, which rates where we are, we got like as far as like they grade based off of academics and adversity. We got one of the top schools in New Hampshire. So.
Congratulations. Great. Do we have any questions, comments?
When did you say the Winter Carnival is again?
It's the 2 days before vacation, the 21st and 22nd.
And they have things over the weekend for the community too at all?
I don't think so. It's just for
No?
the
Just
students.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering. I was
but
looking
the-
for a craft fair.
The Saturday before, they do a winter carnival dance to basically like kick off winter carnival.
It's nice.
The Co-Brown always does an outside kind of carnival thing for the handicapped children and things. Olympics is the
Oh, Special Olympics.
Special Olympics.
Nice.
They do that outdoors.
Okay.
That's a different one. That's
Yeah,
classes compete against each other and together and stuff.
yeah. It's a bonding experience for the whole school, and teachers get involved. So.
Do you do like interclass competitions for Winter Carnival too, or is that only like some small part of it or something?
Well, we basically like have a bunch of different like games and events.
Yeah.
And each class they choose certain people to sign up for things.
Okay,
And
yeah,
like we'll have like a basketball game or maybe like dodgeball, and the different classes will compete against each other, so it like really gets us to bond because like they have a like screen in the lobby and they post the scores. So
Nice.
We did Winter Carnival when I was in school. That was my favorite.
It's
Junior class
bragging
doesn't want to
rights.
get beat by the freshman class. There's a lot of
Oh, yeah.
competition. Yeah.
See, when we did it, the seniors were in charge of all the scoring though, so they would cheat. You know? I just had one question about the poetry reading thing. Is that a school competition, or is that just within the school?
It's within the school,
Within the school,
but
okay.
it becomes multiple schools once someone gets chosen to move on to the regional level.
It's like a spelling bee kind of.
Well,
In a way.
yeah, they like memorize poems. Like for the first competition, they have to memorize 2 poems and recite them, and it like helps you work on your public speaking skills.
Look up John Greenleaf Whittier, because we used to hang around together back in the, all right? He wrote some nice poems.
I thought you hung
Back
around
in
with Robert.
Haverhill,
I thought you
Mass.
hung around with Robert Frost.
He's a young guy, Robert Frost. Greenleaf Whittier's a little older. Well, good luck.
All right.
Have fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, I don't think we have any agenda adjustments for tonight. If you came up with anything. So, and non-public? No, we're good? No non-public, no reason for non-public here. All right, so we will move on to the opening public comment. No? 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 All right. Any board members want to take this opportunity? No? All right, moving right along then. We have our minutes on the consent agenda and our enrollment report. So I would take a motion to approve the consent agenda or remove things off of it.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Any discussion on this? All set. Any questions? No? All right. Seeing none, all all in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented. Motion carries 4-0. We are flying. Geez, we're already halfway through our agenda. All right. Business administrator's report.
Business administrator is getting some signatures down in Nottingham, so I'm it. Then we'll be back on the schedule after that.
All right.
Your monthly financials begin on page 12.
Anything notable that you want to point out?
No, we went through these last week, right, Ms. Young? We went through these last week and noted any questions and got those answered and made adjustments. There's nothing that profound to point out. you'll start to see your financials get tighter, although I think they're in pretty good shape right now. As next month goes on, as we try to get down to a more accurate fund balance for the end of the year. We've enclosed the grant information
Thank you for that.
for your review. And the revenue report.
So, I mean, we're showing quite a fund balance right now. Is that something that's, do you see that sticking, or is that something
mean-
that's going to be coming down as we're spending?
I can see it coming down a little bit, but Ms. Young, in our discussion, there weren't too many questions about the financials when we went through line by line, from what I remember.
No, we have some lines that we're still working to spend down and some that will go right to the end of the year, graduation, for example, but nothing major. We're not talking about huge numbers.
Yeah, a lot of just special ed savings at high school, and some things. That's because of the way we budgeted it.
Well, your needs change after your budget.
Yeah.
That often happens. At least they changed in the right direction.
Right, yeah.
Co-Brown, the bills we just paid wouldn't be reflected in this, probably. Okay, so
Correct. Your encumbrance will
that'll
be
be
reduced.
off by another.
Well, your encumbrance will be reduced.
But the bottom line won't change.
Right.
But the bottom line won't change, it's already encumbered.
Right, but, yeah. Well, they just changed numbers, expended or encumbered, so.
Right.
Did have a question about, is our custodian, now I can't remember what page it was, I have it marked. Custodian wages, are we running
Yeah, I think I
behind or something?
No, there was a budgeting error last
Oh,
year,
okay.
remember that?
Did I tell him? I don't think I
So
remember.
I told you.
On page 9 of 14. I think.
Okay, all right. All right, so I was
We
just
corrected
noticing.
that in this budget. I actually think I pointed it out to the budget committee before I pointed it out to you.
Yeah, I usually look it around and see if,
Yeah.
at this time of the year, we should be halfway through, so as long as we're close to half, but I noticed that was just different.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. O'Sullivan has sent out an email to the principals asking them to have, the majority of spending done by April 1st, and then the approval process includes me, where I'll remind people we need to close down. It's very important that we shut our books much earlier than we did last year, or else you're in the situation where you are now, where I got the letter from the auditor that says they'll be ready with your audit at the end of January. The sooner we close those books in the spring, the more that date moves back.
So can I ask just a question on page 8 of 14 in our support services? The replacement of equipment technology?
Oh, good one.
We gonna be, I assume that's for the
Page 8 of the packet.
page 8, no, I'm sorry, page 8 of 14. So
Okay, yep.
fourth line down. I believe that's page 8 of 14, fourth line down from the top.
Okay.
The replacement of equipment. I think that's part of the technology plan that we're replacing, what, a third or a fifth or something like that? Is that
Right,
what
but
that's for?
all of these items were purchased out of last year's money to make way for
That's SRO
SRO.
money.
So that
Okay, that's SRO
money
money.
is
Gotcha.
not being touched this
Thank you.
year.
Gotcha. Understood? And into that.
Now it's potentially building reconfiguration,
Yeah. Right,
potentially.
maybe.
Page 6 of 14. Curriculum developments, the coordinators and mentors, we're halfway through, we spent a little more than half, I mean, we still looking okay. I mean, we keep, every
Where
once in a
you
while, we
staffed up?
get something about mentors or,
We're talking staff development coordinators and
Yeah.
mentors?
yeah,
You're overdrawn
yeah.
because you had more new staff than you
Okay.
budgeted for.
But overall, we're still coming, just,
Those expenses are done,
Yeah.
so we won't be adding any
Right.
more to that.
and then we'll bring down to the second from the second to the last line, course tuition teachers, where we had so many new teachers, it doesn't seem like we've spent that much yet. Are we still anticipating I mean, course tuition for teachers, 17 grand, and then we've expended 27, encumbered 35, so I'm thinking if we have a lot of young teachers, they'd be taking more courses. It's fine if we don't spend the money, that's okay, but,
You also have to remember that it's just coming up to the start of a new semester.
Okay.
So we don't know
You don't know yet.
who's going to sign up for
well,
classes.
you would have a rough idea, but because people have to apply to take courses, don't they?
They have to.
But you haven't got the bills.
They- Right, they applied through Frontline. I have not approved a lot of tuition through Frontline.
I think it's
A little bit, but not
notable
much.
too, like as a first-year teacher, even if you're not a first-year teacher, but if you're first year in a new position or a new school, it's not really, not too many of those people in those situations want to take on a graduate course as well while they're learning a new job or a new position, so could be some of what we're seeing.
Anything else?
Oh, okay. If you went to page 10 of 14. Just a note. Water district. Maybe you would make a note, Mr. Chair. We maybe should have, not me, I won't be here. But somebody to attend those water district meetings. We're their biggest customer at $4,100. And they have the meetings here in school, but over the years, none of us have ever been, so just, maybe it'd be good to see how they bill us, why they bill us that much. I don't understand why. You know, if everybody else pays $75, if we figured it out, we might be overpaying. That's all.
Sure, that's something to look at. Any other questions on the financials?
No, I think we're gonna get, okay.
You had a lot of notes. I'll let you-
Yeah,
I'll let you run
some
with
I
it.
figure it out myself, and
All right.
I'll read it and say, okay, and then I go back and say, okay, it's okay.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get down to Primex Premium afterwards. I will have questions just about a few bills we've just looked at tonight, but that's further down. Okay, thank you.
Anything else? No? All right, we have some signatures.
Need signatures on the warrants and the MSDSB.
The warrants?
We just have the paper, we just have
you
bills
gotta
here.
Hasn't, I think.
Oh, okay.
Not the payroll warrant, the warrant articles.
Yeah. That's already
So-
signed up, but, okay.
If you would sign here and model it for the other board members, then sign in two places, then Mrs. West finished that as a notarized.
Should we print and then sign?
No, you just sign.
Sign and sign?
Yeah.
So these are the,
Those are just the school district warrants from last week.
okay,
The budget committee's already signed theirs,
okay.
correct, Ms. Dole?
Yeah, they did that
We signed
night.
them
A
that
special
night.
pen.
With a
With
special pen.
That I got back.
Well, my legal advice, everybody should sign in blue.
I have blue if you want.
Okay.
Why?
Because he thinks it's harder to photocopy color.
can't- you
This is
can't copy
old-
blue.
Old technology.
You can copy blue.
Oh, you can.
We
now.
were copying blue. I mean, but it tells you who the original is.
Still copy
True.
Well, you pay how much my legal advice was worth then.
The cost of a pen.
You can copy blue on a color printer, yes.
Yep.
My lawyer is also as old as me and doesn't understand technology. Is there more than one sheet that we sign it?
Well, not on that, no,
Oh,
that's
okay.
fine.
Thank you. I
I
know
just
you
want to
said
do
a
it one
couple
at a
things.
time.
There's the blue pen.
Here and here?
Yeah.
Under us, I guess.
Or next.
It's my first time.
I'll make a note, I'm the only one that can read my signature.
Yeah.
You know, we can read what, your signature? Did you see mine?
Should have been a
I
doctor.
couldn't understand yours.
My last
Mine's meant
name
for
is this.
speed.
Speed? That's why we're getting the thing that.
A doctor's signature,
That's right.
huh?
The next form of packet passing around is your MSDSB, which is your default. Budget committee hasn't signed this. You do, so name, position, signature.
DSV.
Yep.
MSDSB. There you go, Dave. Oh, sorry. Good catch.
Good save, hey.
Throw that other form over to Shane, 'cause he's here now, I can sign it too.
Were you gonna ask me?
Go ahead, sign, and then I'll ask you.
Some forms to sign.
Sweet.
So,
They
right.
pull it off?
Lost by 4.
Close. Yeah.
Want me to settle down first? Or
I'll give you a minute.
You didn't need any security, get out of the gym after that game you were refereeing?
That was the best reffing game I ever did.
Uh-oh.
I'm fired.
Oh, okay.
What were you gonna ask?
Who's on the cover? Is that Eleanor on the cover right behind
I think
Beth?
so. It's like all glared though. I
Yeah, who
can't
is
see
that?
it.
It is, all
Yeah.
right.
Our,
I used to
You know
date
her?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Eleanor Roosevelt?
We hung out together, too. I got around there.
I am now. Right there, the pen on top of it. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, anything else on the business side? No. Any questions, business related, for our pseudo business manager?
Nope.
Question on bills?
Okay, I was thinking of the principal. All right,
We can do it together.
that's all right. What is Brain Pop?
Brain pop, that's software.
Brain Pop.
Get the
He
right guy
thought I
here,
was gonna
Brad.
mispronounce it.
BrainPop is a video subscription service, so they have a variety of educational videos that range from kindergarten through middle school on all topics, so they're supplemental to our curriculum.
All right, and then we had a bill for Haven, and I didn't understand, was that, what is that, Haven?
Haven is an organization that provides education for students around personal safety topics, so they came in September and spoke with all grade levels on personal safety.
That was, I was thinking of more like little lectures.
Yep.
Okay, not material, that.
Right.
Like, okay. And Stanley Elevator, what did, there's another thing that bugs me on the bills when I go through them. It just says, here's your bill for $207. And a lot of people now, say, what did they do? Did they check the elevators? Did they fix an elevator?
I
That's
believe
all.
the elevator by the cafeteria malfunctioned, so they came in and
Just a little
inspected
pet peeve
repaired.
of mine is 20 years from now when somebody's going through all the minutes. That's all. They want to know, what did Stanley, what did he fix back then? I want to
I
know.
think that's wildly optimistic that 20 years from now, somebody will really care, but.
But there's going to exist any minutes.
If you fix it, I want to know what you did, so if you come back again.
Yeah, Stanley's, their invoices are notoriously not very
Not
detailed,
detailed.
right? Because I've heard you ask
Okay.
that many, many times before.
Okay.
I mean, I could do TMC mechanical, they at least wrote it all out, but they write like you.
I'm a better
But I
typer.
can
I'm a
just-
typer, not a
You're a
writer.
typer, okay. Thank you.
Is that it?
Yep.
Any other questions about bills while we're here? No? Okay. We'll move on to the principal's report then.
Good evening. Our report begins on page 34. And part of our report is a technology update. Mr. Robert is here, so I'm going to go out of order and have him go first so that he can then go home and we can all be jealous.
No, he's not going home.
Good.
Actually, I just can't see, that's the problem. I appreciate your time. I'm not going to take up a lot of your time, but Ms. Young and I were talking a while ago, and we came to the conclusion that it's been a while since I've been in front of the board. So she asked for some information, and then we talked and thought maybe if I just came in for a couple minutes and just went over some things that have been going on in technology, maybe answer a couple questions if you had any, just so that we have that presence, I guess, just in case there's anything going on, and I can fill you in on a couple of things. So what I did is I made a nice long list, and then I realized after doing that probably a lot of things you really don't care that detailed about, so I have them if it comes up, but I want to go over just a couple of things that might be of an interest to you, things that have been going on since we're about halfway through the year. One of the big things that came up, two things actually that were really big that came up since the beginning of the school year. One of them was and something that isn't talked about a lot as far as what I do, but it's about instruction for students. And it's kind of an important thing for me as well as obviously many people in the school, all of us. And it's kind of, I don't want to say it's taken for granted, but it just kind of happens, and we take care of it. And what's been happening over the years is the part-time technology instructional facilitator was the librarian here in the school. That person left at the end of last year. So we had a new person come in this year, and I've been working with her, and her and I have been taking on that same duty to go in front of classrooms for students, working with teachers, and getting our standards for technology in front of the students and helping them reach those levels. I got to say, up to this point, about halfway through the year, I'm pretty happy with what's going on. I was a little apprehensive. Any kind of change in the summer I was a little apprehensive about with everything going on, but it's been working out pretty well. We have an assessment happening at the end of January to see where we stand for the year. That's what hasn't happened yet, but I've worked with her, and she's working, doing things, and I actually myself do about 30% of the instruction in the school building for technology, not counting what teachers do individually. And we don't really talk about that a lot, but it's a really big, important part of what I do, and I enjoy it. Love being in front of the kids. The sixth graders didn't appreciate the hour-long lecture on analytical data today, but I thought it was pretty cool. But Excel spreadsheets are wonderful. So, sorry. So that's actually come along really well. With that change that's happened, we're really doing pretty well. I think we're doing really well. The other big thing that's happened, you probably have been aware of, is the change to the report card system. That was a huge change that happened before summertime, but me on the technical side really kicked in over the summertime, changing all of our systems to line up with this so we could have standards-based reporting, and working with our vendor and our online system. And along with that, since we were changing to standards-based for everybody, we decided that would be a really great idea to get grades K through 4 onto our online system instead of the handwritten report cards they've been doing for years. So that was a big change this year as well. So we were real busy with that, going through progress reports for quarter 1, then the quarter 1 live new standards-based report cards, and going through all the issues with that. We had a couple of training sessions with staff on that. Myself, curriculum coordinator, administration doing that. And I think the staff really felt bad for me because all the things I was going through to make those changes, but I really felt bad for the staff because the other ones had to go through and make all these new changes that I had to witness. And it's a big deal. It really is a big deal to make those changes when you watch them do it. So things have gone really well with that. Quarter 2, we made some more enhancements with it. What we were putting out as far as product to the parents and stuff, and we're looking to make a couple more things for online stuff for the web portal that's online and everything that they can see, more reports and stuff. So we're looking at doing some more with that. So that was a big thing that's been taking up a lot of time. A couple other things you might have heard of. House Bill 612 is a big security thing going on with compliance for schools to government agencies to secure data. Huge thing going on, actually, and I'm not going to bore you with the details, but basically we have to prove and show that we're doing all due diligence to make sure all of our stuff is secure here in the schools. And we're working, all schools are working together on that in the SAU to get that done, and we're doing pretty good with that. Staff has actually helped out a lot, trying to inventory software and everything else been going on. So we're making some new reports for that, accountability, better ways of inventorying has come out of that. Some teachers helped me work with that. It's been, actually, that's a big thing going on. It's been working out really well. And infrastructure changes, improvements, domain changes, we've been working on those going on. You probably don't care a lot about the particulars about that, but a lot of things taking up some time trying to upgrade the inventory and upgrade the way all of our systems do run. Also, a lot of things we do here have been going to the cloud, online resources. A lot of the things we run, except for the security aspect of it, most things are going through Google and other resources. We only have one major system that we run here locally in the building, and that's actually changing as of hopefully tomorrow afternoon. The nurse software that we run internally in the building is going to go online as well. A lot of that came from trying to do stuff with the safety committee and doing things, what would happen if we had to do relocation and things like that. So that that spurred that process, so that now she can walk out with a laptop and still have access to all the health records for the kids and all that stuff. So that hopefully will start tomorrow. That'll be one of the last things we do. Everything will be pretty much in the cloud, online, so forth. Yeah, so that's, I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but those are the major things going on. Wasn't sure if any other interests were, any questions that might come up of things that are happening, maybe things I didn't answer, didn't go into enough detail that maybe you were interested in. I am prepared to do that. But that's pretty much been the gist of things up, and then besides the normal maintaining all of the stuff that's been happening during the course of instruction, all the smart boards and making sure everything runs, and the kids all have their laptops running around and iPads, and we're pretty much almost a 1-to-1 ratio here in the school, so that takes up a lot of time as well. But things seem to be running much more efficiently this year than the past couple of years because of changes to equipment. We've actually got some better, I want to say, I hate using the word better, but things that are easier to maintain. So the kids actually, I say kids, students, are able to use the equipment more readily instead of having them sit in my office for me to fix them. So we're doing better with that as the last couple of years have gone on. So that's pretty much it. I just want to make sure I was able to get in front of you and present that to you and make sure that there wasn't any need or questions that might come up that maybe you wanted to speak about to me, and that was it. I won't take up any more of your time if you don't have anything else.
Do we have anything? Do you want to give if you're up for it, an update on the technology committee that met recently, so I don't have to later?
Okay, yeah, I can do it for a couple minutes, sure, if you know. Actually, I can talk a long time about this. I'm not going to. We have a technology committee here in the school that meets about technology subjects and talks about basic for integration of technology subjects in the classroom and how technology is being used in the school, using things more efficiently, software, hardware, all kinds of stuff like that are going on. The group we have now, actually, I got to say, is a real organized group. More than what I'm used to. It's almost a little uncomfortable for me, I'll be honest. I'm used to fly. A lot of things in my job, I have to kind of fly, shoot from the hip on a lot of things. And it is more organized than what I'm used to, so I'm trying to adjust to that. But because of that, I think we're making really good progress. Our big thing is our tech plan that we're working on. Much more organized than ever I've done within 17 years. So I'm actually, initially at the meeting, it probably looks like I'm not comfortable, and it's just a little different for me, but I look at the end results, and I think we're really actually moving in a really good direction with that. So the tech plan is something that's going on right now to come up with our goals for the next few years, what we want to get accomplished in the school, as well as the inventories for software and the data stuff that we already mentioned. Has been the big push for the committee in the last 2-3 months. We're looking to put a lot of those goals together next month and come up with a format to start putting it together so we can obviously present to the board before the end of the year.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, you guys have a good
One
night.
last question.
What? Sure.
What's that beeping?
That's not me.
Are you? All right. That's you? Okay.
All right, have a good night.
It's driving me nuts. Thank you, Mr. Robert.
An update for the 8th grade trip. Mrs. Labrie and Mrs. Gorley have received 2 quotes for trips to Washington, D.C. One of them, the one that's included in your packet and that they're recommending, is a longer trip. It includes a night in Gettysburg before proceeding on to Washington, D.C. It provides for more chaperones, more activities, and overall seems to be a much better trip and value for the trip. So the itinerary is included in the packet for you. We're looking at a trip from a Monday through Friday, I believe are those dates, leaving June 3rd and arriving back on June 7th. Students will be 4 to a room, but parents will have the option of opting for a more expensive option if they so choose, because the 4 to a room does mean 2 to a bed, which can be somewhat controversial in 8th grade. Fundraising obviously will offset the cost of the trip. And so we are looking for, obviously I'll entertain any questions, but we are looking for approval of proceeding with confirming with Fox Tours so that we can get the contract going and have that vetted by the attorney and by Primex.
Do you have any information on what the alternative would be? Like the cheaper alternative? And what the cost would be for a student and things like that?
Yeah, so Fox Tours is $692 for 5 days and 4 nights and includes 6 free chaperones. The Explorica one is $673, so $20 whole less for 4 days and 3 nights and only 3 free chaperones. So a pretty significant difference there. Yeah. And just at first blush, the Explorica itinerary is not nearly as detailed or robust. I can pass that around if you'd like to look at it. I'm sorry I didn't make multiple copies.
extra chaperones were well worth the $20. Nothing else.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's nice enough to stop in Gettysburg, that's pretty good.
Do you guys want to have any questions on this, or motion to accept it now, or?
Can I ask a quick
Yep.
question? Justin, the second trip that you just mentioned, I didn't, there's not information in the packet about that one, is there?
No, that's
Can
this.
you just repeat the, oh, perfect. Just so I can get it in the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation or accept the recommendation of the 8th grade field trip with Fox Tours.
Second?
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Yeah,
We got-
I got it.
we got 'em, okay.
Yeah.
And in support of that trip, the advisors are proposing 2 additional fundraisers to sell Krispy Kreme donuts in February and to sell Texas Roadhouse roll sales in March. And there may be a Weight Watchers fundraiser in April, I'm not sure.
Roadhouse roll?
The alternative.
What was it, Roadhouse?
Yes. Apparently they come frozen, and you can buy them by the dozen.
Really?
Like
I
just
don't
the,
think I've ever had a Roadhouse roll.
yeah, just the bread?
Is it, is it
Yeah,
the,
they
is it the
give
one
you
that has
roll.
the
They're
cinnamon?
known for
Yeah,
it,
the
but-
cinnamon
yeah.
butter, right?
Cinnamon
Okay, so
butter.
you'd have
Yeah,
to make
that's
your own.
right.
There you go.
Yeah, that stuff is good. I remember that now.
Krispy Kreme donuts, ooh. Well, they come right off the,
In Dover.
I don't think
oh,
they're,
they have one, no, they
They're
don't have
taught.
that around. In Dover, they have a Krispy Kreme?
If they don't, they will soon.
No kidding.
Here, you go on.
Closest one is
I'll make a
Biddeford,
motion
Maine,
to
Osaka.
approve the fundraisers for the Krispy Kreme donuts and for the Texas
could be
Roadhouse
wrong.
rolls.
Second?
What do you guys think on this? Everybody happy with that? All in favor?
Aye.
continuing on with the theme of fundraising, but with a different grade level. Mrs. Crockmull, our 7th grade advisor, would like to do 50/50 raffle fundraisers at athletic games for the rest of the year. She's checked with 8th grade and the PTA and determined that she's not stepping on anybody's toes by doing that. Proceeds of that would go to the class trip for the class of 2020. And then after our report went to print, she submitted one more request that's time sensitive, so I'm hand delivering this one. She's proposing a fishing derby in February. So each person participating in the fishing derby would pay an entry fee, but that would be capped at $20 for, if you had a particularly large family, you still would not pay more than $20. The details are on here. She's covered things like safety and making sure that there are facilities available. She has the application all ready to go. She's just waiting for board approval. So we are looking for approval of those 2 fundraisers as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the 50/50 raffle.
Okay.
I'll second for the raffle.
All right.
We're just doing one
Yep, we
at
can do
a
one time, it's fine.
Okay.
Any discussion on this?
No, just a comment to thank Mrs. Crockmull that she already got checked with everybody else, 8th grade and PTA, because that would have always is one of my questions.
It's great to see, it's great to see fundraising
Yeah.
so well in advance as
Yeah.
too. I don't think we've seen too much of 7th grade fundraising in the past, so, and it's a lot of money, so I'm glad to see that too. All in favor of the 50/50 raffle?
All right.
And then, I have questions, but should I make a motion?
Make the motion, yeah, then we can discuss it.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the fishing derby proposal as proposed by Ms. Crockmull again.
I'll second that. Discussion?
I'm just concerned because I know that last year there was a fishing derby, and I don't know exactly who put it on. I believe it was Cole Brown. I could be wrong. It could have been the rec.
It
That was the rec.
It was
The
rec.
rec department.
Rec department.
We did a ice fishing derby, Harvey Lake. And I somehow did not put the date in my phone,
Well, the
because we
rec-
just scheduled it the other day.
The rec department met the other night, and they are planning to do it again, and it sounds like it's almost at that same
I think
Saturday,
it might be.
because then we have the 23rd, we have
We have
the
the,
Winter Carnival after that. So,
I don't know why I didn't put it in my phone. Trying to think.
You know,
so I would probably not want to vote, I personally won't vote on it tonight till I recheck and see.
The problem is-
And read
Yeah, because
some of the other
We,
things.
I mean, it's voting on tonight or not at all, because
Oh,
our next
okay.
meeting's not until after,
Can we
February.
put a contingency on it? If it's the same day, then they can't do it?
Move it,
Yeah, we should give an opportunity to move
move
it.
it to another day.
Yeah, move it to another day, I don't, yeah.
I know
I'm
you
double-checking
mentioned
the
there's
date.
a time sensitivity. Is that just because she's scheduling it for before we're meeting again, or?
I think because she wants to get the application sent in, once that's approved, get the advertising going so that families are
Is there
aware.
a
Permit
permit
to-
like
Kind of
through
plan,
fishing
yeah.
game or whatever? Okay.
Yeah. Also, the rec department doesn't charge anybody, and they get, they'll get permission from the Fish and Game that nobody would need a license, even people 16 and over, because it was more like a lot of little kids at the time. That's what I remember the rec program last year. So,
I think it's a really good idea. I just
Yeah.
don't want to create more of
Yeah.
a headache in town for anybody.
I mean, might there be enough interest for 2 fishing derbies as long as they're apart? I mean, people who like to ice
yeah.
fish like to ice fish. They probably
I'm
don't mind doing it
sure.
twice.
I'm sure, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't the same day. I'm trying to find out from someone. Okay, wait,
Maybe
Matt
do-
just responded. February 16th is the date of our,
It's the same date.
it's the same date. Oh.
Push it to March, ice will still be there. Or even second, third, fourth week in February.
I did speak to her, and she assumed that the rec was not going to do the fishing derby. So I don't think she would be objecting to a change in
Okay.
the date. She,
And that makes sense, because
Right.
we weren't sure if we were
right, 'cause I
either.
told her I didn't know, we don't
Yeah.
have a director right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so she might be okay with changing the date? Okay.
Okay, can I amend my motion to, I'd like to make a motion to approve the fishing derby fundraiser for another date to be determined later.
Chosen by,
Chosen by Ms. Crockmall in conversation with some representative of the rec department, recreation committee, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Think that works?
Second?
okay. Okay, is there a second?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion on that?
No.
All in favor? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Lack of a motion, but
But I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
Rambling motion, I'm sorry.
Worked.
We all set? All right, good.
All right, moving away from fundraising, a PBIS update. As you know, we've been working hard the last couple of years to install and implement a school-wide universal system for positive behavior support. Concurrently with that, normally you would wait until you have that firmly established school-wide before you started talking about moving on to the next tier of more support. However, we do have a couple of grade levels, one in particular, who really does indicate through the data a need for more tiered, targeted support behaviorally. So we provided a training. We currently have, as our school psychologist, a contracted service provider from Stratford Learning Center, Kate Salvati. And then we also have a PBIS consultant from Stratford Learning Center, Jill Heath. And they provided a Tier 2 training to some of our staff, teachers and paraprofessionals last week on a targeted intervention called Check In, Check Out. And that is still a positive, focused behavior support for kids who are not responding to our universal strategies as much as we would like them to. So basically, they start their day having a friendly, positive interaction with a staff member, setting goals for the day. They then have a tracking sheet that they carry with them throughout the day. They check in with each teacher at the end of their class period, focused on what was successful during that class, getting that high rate of positive reinforcement. Then they end their day with another check-in with a staff member, again focusing on the positive, but also doing some problem solving. Where do we go wrong today? What can we do differently tomorrow? There's a parent component. They bring it home so that the parent has some feedback on a daily basis about what their day looked like. That is a research-based intervention. Mr. Runing, I'm sure, has experience with it in
Vast
prior places, as do
experience.
I. So we have provided the training. We still have some logistical things to plan out and figure out, but we are expecting that we will start this with a small group of students in Q3, and we're looking forward to seeing what having the data reflect that the kids are getting more of what they need, with the idea that next year we'd be able to expand that to other grade levels. Mr. Tom provided a facilities update during the winter break. The building got very well cleaned, scrubbed and recoated, and lots of hallway floors were done. Rooftop air units were serviced and filters changed. So floor tiles were replaced. So they were very busy over vacation. Since I wrote this, I'm sorry to report that our tractor has officially died. So it's a good thing we have one in next year's budget. The transmission has gone. Charlie's Tractors came out and looked at it and said it would take about $5,000 to fix it, so that doesn't make any sort of sense. So we're going to limp through the rest of this winter with the snow blowers, and then really look forward to the new shiny one next year.
Forget it.
Not a good weekend for that news.
No.
I was gonna ask about the snowshoe club because of the weather.
Well, I will say Ms. Martineau was quite excited about getting that started. She was in the office this afternoon.
Well, then I would make a proposal, if there is any problem, I think Tom probably already does, is just be in contact with the town, because they do plow a lot. I know over the years, they've come down here and pushed snow back and stuff like that to help us out, so. We may need help next week.
And I believe that is all I have for you.
Do we have any questions, Ms. Young?
No?
No, sorry. Clearing my throat. Just circling back to the technology update. Are we still working on the report cards? I know when the report cards first came out, there was a lot of confusion both on the, I think, the teacher side and the parent side, because there's a lot of repeated letters in different places and stuff. Is that being updated?
Yes, so one of the points of confusion was the M, or indicates most of the time in the habits of mind section, was confusing with the M in the standards-based grades for mastery, so we are now changing the M in habits of mind to O for often. So we will be notifying parents of that change, and then it's also retroactive, so when you get your child's second quarter report card, it won't say M for first quarter and O for second, it will say O across the board. The other piece that was confusing was the P for progressing in standards was different than the P for science and social studies, which meant pass. So we are planning to change that. We've not figured out exactly what letters will change that to, but that will be changed as well and will also be retroactive. So those were kind of the big logistical pieces. We devoted our entire January faculty meeting to answering questions and problem solving around the report card. Some of the things that people didn't like, the order of the things, that it goes from, a standards-based thing to a related art to a habit of mind and then a bunch of standards, that we don't have a lot of control over, unfortunately. So that will stay the way it is, but we're doing what we can.
Is that just because of the technology you're using that you don't have control over that? Or?
Because of MMS and the way that we had to generate the report card, they go by course number. We didn't know to sequence our course numbers in a certain way at the beginning of the year. If we do it now, we lose all our data. So we're stuck with this for now. Next year, we'll go in having learned from that.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Anybody? No? All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to our policies. The policy committee meet today?
We did.
You did, excellent. So what do we have?
It's just, I had to correct some. You mean for today?
Yeah.
We just have to take a look at data governance and security. Struck some issues, took care of some blanks, put some names in.
So this we previously moved to second reading, and so we're looking for adoption now? Is that what
On
happened?
page 39, yeah.
I move to adopt policy EHAB, data governance and security.
Second.
Discussion on this? I assume the adoption note will remove before we put it in the policy manual?
Get to that. One, I think, right?
This is what Mr. Roberts was referring to, the change in the law, and we've discussed it a few times.
Yeah, the piece that Mr. Roberts working on is the data governance plan, which this policy
Refers to, right?
prescribes.
Okay.
And I will tell you that it is an amazing amount of work that the 3 tech, and 4 tech people are doing monthly to pull that together for all 3 schools in the SAU. We finally, the Department of Ed last week sent out a technical advisory for minimum standards, which is helpful. We weren't expecting that, and that's, my conversation with Mr. Stanley was, when I asked him what progress we were at, he's like, we're at the filling in the blank stage, which is good, which means they've got the basic framework done in the skeleton, and now they're pulling data and putting it in. So I'm very hopeful that by June 30th, when we're supposed to, we will be able to present that for approval.
Any further discussion on this? All in favor of adopting policy EHAB, data governance and security, as written? Motion carries 5-0. Policy is adopted. Oh, this is second reading, I missed that. Anything we have to look forward to from the policy committee? Soon?
We will all look for reminds me of Annabelle.
I know, I'm skipping ahead, that's all right.
We have the payroll authorization hand stamp procedure coming to you.
No, that's funny.
We have some work, some of these are just going to be reaffirmations, I'm not going to flip through them, but we today talked about school board meeting procedures, although I updated that, so I think that's going to stay. Emergency plans, policy that basically aligns to the state requirement that we file those every year, which we do. We have a non-public or home-educated student policy, a regulation policy to go with that, adding access for those students when needed, and then instructional materials.
I'd just like to remind the policy committee that come March, I'm going to ask for the B policies to be reaffirmed, all of them. The ones, the school board governance policies.
You made it the reorg?
Yeah, at some point shortly thereafter,
Because you're
yes.
going to look at BEDH rather quickly.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, I just want to get them all in the packet
So B
and reaffirm them
policies.
when we have new members. If we have new members, actually. Nah, we should do it anyway. It'd probably be good.
Let's write that down for this one.
Thanks. Okay, if we have nothing else on policies, we'll move on to the superintendent's report.
We got a personnel report, late arrival. I'm sure that page 2 is why Mr. Alford may be taking the night off to celebrate.
Ooh. Are you okay over there?
Page 2.
Oh,
I'll get you after we're done.
Shane, I have yours when you're done.
You can have
Brave soul.
So I'm asking the board to accept the resignation of Kim Clemens as a math teacher, effective June 30th of 2019.
I will make a motion to accept the resignation of Lily Clemens with regret.
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
When would you start posting that?
Tomorrow morning, Monday, Tuesday, sometime within the next few days.
That's right, Monday's a holiday, right?
Right.
How long has she been employed here?
This is year 4.
Yep.
Anything else? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I'll let you do a big announcement, right? Feel like. Drum roll.
I'm going to dial in Mr. Alford here.
Right.
I will say that I was here at drop-off and observing Mr. Alford and I was pulling in, and he was walking out, and a car went to go around another car, and I almost pulled my vehicle in front of the other car to keep him from being hit. So it is I know as much as we quip about it, it is it's a tough little job out there. So with that, I'll nominate Richard Conrad as the new crossing guard. His resume is attached.
Yeah.
Should we get Mr. Alford something for his duties?
Can we make a recommendation to him to, considering his background, can he maybe come up with like a little clicker that would change the blinking yellow to red?
He is quite talented,
I
isn't he?
saw his background. I've been wanting that for a long time.
So we need a motion to
Oh, some of
elect. What's that?
So
You
moved.
moved? Okay. Is there a second? I will second if there hasn't been one. I would be very surprised to see any dissension from this, but all in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Yeah, it's an electrical engineer.
Yeah, I'm like reading his resume.
Well, welcome.
Just wanted to-
We wish him well. Main Streets of Northwood.
A mean streets of Route 4.
It's just a tough corner.
It is.
It is.
All right. Moving on, we have some enrollment reports.
Mr. Ruth had asked for other
Yeah.
district enrollment reports. I just put them in your packet.
Thank you, I looked at them and appreciate it. It's good to know what other towns do and how they're figuring.
Any comments on that or anything? Just kind of,
No, I mean,
Just for information.
I mentioned something last week about enrollments and
Yep.
discussion we'll probably have, you might have in the future, so.
I
I looked at.
I'm surprised Stratford has more students than us. I thought for a long time we
That
had more than
surprised
them,
me,
right?
yeah. I knew it was always getting close, but it's up in the high school especially, too.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice, and it's just a thing with me, is homeschool is, all three towns are all like it, about 5% of our 5% of our student population is homeschooled. I don't know.
I think if you looked across the state, you'd see
Yeah, I
that.
just, seeing those other reports in other towns.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's good that we're not unusual, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I thought I was when I hadn't been around for a while and came back and started looking at it. Yeah.
Okay, want to talk about Primax?
I've enclosed your holiday distribution letters. I did notice that the second one has different dates from the first one, so I'm going to ask the business office to reach out to Primex for a clarification.
Question?
Yeah.
Does that mean that they are subtracting that amount from our
That's a
payments?
credit.
Okay. Versus we could have got a check for that amount? We had no
It
option.
says in the letter that you can get a check you can request a check for that amount, or they apply it to the next year. However, if you look at the two letters, they're different, and I question why that is.
So they would apply it to next year?
In the first letter,
Right, I think there's other differences too.
in the first letter, it says,
It looks like a different term. One's July through June.
right, and I don't know if
One's January
that's,
through
they
December.
used a template that they use for a town, because they run a different fiscal year than a school. Do you understand? So I've got to check that out.
So there may just be a mistake on the letter.
Why are the dates different?
Yeah, that's weird.
I guess that would be my question is, advantage that taking it off, getting the check now and putting it
Right.
in towards this year's final?
Right.
Or next year, we've already come up with a budget and automatically we're already starting out $6,700 ahead. I don't know, which is the best way.
Right. And I
In the
think that's a
past.
great discussion to have. I would just say, let me get an answer
Yeah.
to the first question. Because you can, do you see it on page 51
Yep.
and 53? They're different terms. So,
It may be that we want to make this decision after the election too, so you know what our budget is for next year. Right?
All right, as long as there's no,
yeah.
do it tomorrow, do it today.
Right, right. I
Okay.
assume that's not the case, right? If we have a credit, we can probably request a check at any point, I'd imagine,
Right.
so.
I mean,
Yeah,
if there's
it'd be good
terms,
to
let us
figure
know.
it out then, which was the best way, considering what Yeah,
Right.
okay, I'm fine.
But it's nice to have that decision to make.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's not forget it, though. Let's,
put it on the to-do.
on the, yeah, if we could put it on our to-do list for end of March,
Always have one.
or parking lot, or something like that. I mean, it's not an insignificant amount of money, and
Look at it.
it's at the end.
Mine's different than yours.
While you're looking, is that it for Primex?
Yeah.
So, we have the delegate assembly.
Yes, your delegate assembly is it this Saturday or the 26th?
26.
The 26th, and they're asking you as a board to tell your delegate how you'd like him to vote.
Vote on getting us more money.
I don't believe that was one of the,
That's not one of the...
are there copies of them here?
Yeah, I
Can you
know
hand them out?
people said they'd bring theirs, but I made copies anyway.
Okay.
Because
So-
another board did the same thing, and we were trying to read it off of phones last night, and I decided we didn't want to do that.
There's only one, and one more.
So,
Ooh, long reach.
there are a number of resolutions that have been proposed. I know when I was looking at them, there's a lot of like repeated resolutions in a way, they're just slightly different. And I didn't really have a strong opinion on any particular wording. And some better than others.
Well, I'm not going to render opinion on what the resolutions are for the School Boards Association. It's not my association. However, I can give you a little logistical information that it will, some of the way these resolutions are worded, that if you vote on whether to support the resolution or not, you may be making a motion in the negative, which is going to be confusing. However, if you frame it around whether you're going to follow the NHSBA Board of Directors recommendations on each, if you look at the bottom of your resolution, see where it says Board of Directors, if you frame your motion like that, like vote to support and then vote, it's going to be much clearer for Mr. Wells when he goes to delegate assembly, I believe.
Okay, that's an interesting way of
That's a
looking
good
at it.
idea.
Yeah.
So
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does to me.
We got halfway through doing it the other way, and then we ran up against a resolution that was also...
Mr. Wells, you comfortable if we said, we just asked that you go by the NHS, the New Hampshire School Board Association?
no, that's not what he
not what he's
means.
saying.
No, what I'm saying is, at the bottom of each resolution,
Yeah.
so there's 11 resolutions, correct?
Yep.
There is a recommendation from the New Hampshire School Boards Association Board of Directors. So as you go through each of the resolutions, you frame your vote around, we vote to support the recommendation of the Board of Directors on resolution, boom, then it's really clear for Mr. Wells.
So we just say we either agree with this or don't.
What we could do for each one.
Yeah,
For
you
each
do for
one.
each one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I got, you wanna go by one by one then?
Sure.
Taking notes, Mr. Wells? So, the
I'm gonna vote the way I want.
proposed resolution, you get a vote right now. Proposed resolution 1, the New Hampshire School Boards Association supports legislation that makes clear the authority of local school districts to restrict all but authorized police and security officers from bringing firearms into school property. The restriction applies to all students, school visitors, employees, volunteers, those attending school functions, and those voting when the polling place is in a school. And this is not recommended by the executive committee.
Is that a local control thing? Is that what they're
I
basically saying?
think their argument was, yeah, that this is basically that people, school board members and members of the public have very strong opinions about this.
The executive committee said that they just have reservations adopting a resolution relative to guns or firearms in school grounds. That's the rationale for opposing it. I am not convinced by that, but,
I'm not either.
yeah. I mean, this is not saying that we are passing any motion for this. This is just saying that the school board will support legislation that will do so. Right, which I think is totally fine to do. I mean, but, so I'll make a motion that we direct Mr. Wells to oppose this recommendation, just because it's the same as what it says. I'm not going to vote for it, but I'm going to make that motion.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion on this? All in favor of opposing this, having Mr. Wells oppose this resolution?
So I'm voting for it? For the recommendation?
So the resolution is here.
Yep.
The executive committee is opposed to this
Yeah,
recommendation.
so,
I made a motion that we are going to go with the executive committee's
yes.
motion right now. And so all in favor of voting
Opposed.
with the executive committee in this? All opposed? So I believe that what that would
That
mean
would-
then is
You're going
that
to vote for the
you're gonna
resolution.
vote
For the
this
resolution.
resolution.
Maybe we should word our
Maybe we
motions
could do
that
that, if will that make it easier? All right.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
All right, sorry, my bad.
No,
That's all right.
makes sense.
All right, on page 3, we have Resolution 2 by the Manchester Board of School Committee. What? Manchester Board of School Committee. That's a weird name. This is, the proposed resolution is to eliminate 2 existing resolutions relative to the retirement system. I'm not going to read them. You can read them.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we vote to support resolution number 2.
which is to remove these other resolutions, so we're back in the same.
See?
Back in the same boat.
Right? I've already done it once.
The way the state votes, every time you look at it, is if you vote yes, you actually voted no.
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
really crazy.
It is.
So I guess I'm sticking with your model of
I'll
doing
go
with the
whatever the school board
executive
recommends,
committee
'cause it won't matter
recommendation.
who beans. If somebody
So,
comes in here with-
support, got it.
This resolution.
So if we,
No,
so if you
support
vote
the
to,
recommendation.
if you vote to support this, well, the recommendation is to support this. If you-
To support the elimination.
Right, you're voting to eliminate these two resolutions.
Word for it.
Was there a second?
There was not, yeah, no, thank you. I'll second it.
So- I'm sorry. I'm getting confused. Established a long-term plan for fully funding the New Hampshire retirement system.
All right, anybody want to read this further? Ready to vote on this? So, a yes vote right now will be to vote yes for the proposed resolution, which will eliminate these 2 clauses from the NHSBA. So all in favor? Opposed? No, none, so motion carries. So that one will vote support. Resolution 3 by the Merrimack Valley School Board. NHSBA advocates for the proper funding of high-quality public education and opposes any provisions of the law or rule that funds private school student reassignment using publicly raised tax dollars. This is not recommended by the Board of Directors because the intent of this proposal is already covered under Resolution 1A and 1B, according to them.
Would you like me to read you 1A and 1B?
Please.
Sure.
NHSBA supports the utilization of public funds solely for public schools as determined by local school boards. That's 1A. 1B, NHSBA urges the New Hampshire Legislature and Congress to oppose any efforts to subsidize elementary or secondary private, religious, or home schools with public education tax dollars. Specifically, New Hampshire School Boards Association opposes the creation of vouchers, tax credits, and tax subsidies that inform or targeted to the tuition or expenses for non-public K-12 schools. Rather than diverting scarce tax dollars away from our public classrooms, NHSBA urges the New Hampshire Legislature and Congress to support improvements in our public schools and meet current funding obligations and promises benefiting the vast majority of America's children who are educated daily in our public schools.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion on this? So I will make a motion to, I'll make a motion to support this resolution, just for, because I want to do that for all of them. No, it's the motion, that's all.
Second your motion.
Confused.
Discussion?
Second, oh wait, you seconded it?
Is there any discussion on this? So supporting this motion would be that we support this proposed resolution. Opposing it would mean we're going with the recommendation of the board of directors in this case.
It sounds like everybody thinks the sentiment of the resolution is.
Yeah, this does seem just duplicative, so, yeah.
Redundant.
So all in favor of supporting the proposed resolution by Merrimack Valley School Board? All opposed? All right, so we will oppose that one.
Opposed. Got it.
Thank you. Resolution 4 by the Messinic
Scenic, yeah.
Regional School Board.
Is that you?
No action needed.
Is that Brian?
Why is that? I don't understand that.
Read the recommendations. No action is needed on this proposal. It was submitted to indicate the Messina Regional School Board's continued support of NHSBA Resolution 1A.
All right, so they're not even going to vote on this then?
No action. Next one's no action.
No action on proposed resolution 5 for the same reason, I'm guessing? Yeah, okay. Resolution 6 by the Raymond School Board, that if a parent chooses to exempt their student from statewide assessment, the school district does not need parental approval for the alternative activity that will be provided to the student while the assessment is being administered.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to oppose this recommendation along with the NHSBA Board of Directors.
Second?
Any discussion on this? So the idea is that the board of directors, I don't know where Brian is. I don't think they oppose it just for reasons of how it looks, right, more than anything else. I guess that's not a terrible idea, I guess. I mean, it does, yeah. I don't know, I'm not sure on this one, but any discussion or on this then?
Nope.
All right, all voting to oppose this resolution. All voting to not oppose it, one, so we'll oppose this 4-1. Resolution 7 by Raymond School Board, that public funding not to be used to support religious or private education. This is opposed by the Board of Directors for the same reason as the other one.
So I'll make a motion to oppose Resolution 7 aligned with NHSBA Board of Directors recommendation.
Any discussion on that? Nope. I'll second it. Is there any discussion? All in favor of opposing this resolution?
Should just circle the things here right now.
I did, these are my sheet.
Yeah. Right, opposed, I'm like, just circle. Resolution 8 by the Raymond School Board, that the decision as to what date to start the school year remain a local decision and not mandated by the state government. The Board of Directors is opposed to this.
Would you like me to read V:1I to you?
I would.
New Hampshire School Boards Association supports local control provided in New Hampshire statutes and rules that will allow local school districts the authority to make their own decisions in defining a school calendar that complies with both the spirit and the letter of the law. Aren't you glad I have these?
Yes, I am, very, very much, thank you. So I will make a motion to oppose Resolution 8.
Second?
All in favor of opposing it? 5-0.
I don't want to mess up with the calendar committee.
Proposal 9 by the Keene School Board. The NHSBA supports continuing to allow school districts to determine the best opening school date for their own districts. I'm going to go ahead and just make a motion to oppose this right away.
Second.
All in favor of this? Yeah, we'll oppose this one. Resolution 10 by Keene School Board. The NHSBA supports legislation allowing local districts to determine whether guns are allowed in their schools. This is opposed by the Board of Directors, just because they have a reservation against adopting it.
I'm gonna make a motion that we, align with the NHSBA Board of Directors' recommendation to oppose Resolution 10.
All right, so it's a motion to oppose Resolution 10,
Second?
seconded. Any discussion on this? All in favor of opposing Resolution 10? All right, all in favor of the,
Opposed to oppose it.
opposed to opposing, so supporting Resolution 10,
All right, I'm confused.
Just write, cross out opposed and write supporting.
supporting, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Ruth was here.
Can you run that all by me?
Yeah,
again?
so, what was your vote on that?
I have 4.
What did you vote on this? You propose, do you support this, or?
To oppose it.
You oppose this, all right, so it's 2 opposing, 3 supporting. So this will be supported. All right, did I do that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Shane's going to support.
I'm on third right now, I know that.
Shane's going to
Shane's
support
going to
that.
support Resolution 10.
Support.
You're going to the meeting, right? Yeah, the 26th.
After all this,
That's not what we're doing.
Oh, no.
Have you been to one before?
No.
Neither have I. Should be interesting.
No action. 11, it's no action.
No action on 11, I missed the deadline.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank
Okay.
you. That was
Yeah, that
What
was,
time is it on the 26th?
it's like all day, isn't it?
Make
9 to 3, yeah, we want to get into plan.
You going
I imagine they feed
Hey,
you.
Chair, come up with some
with
things, yeah.
Yeah, right?
with
Start
like a
thinking.
triple.
I'll get up.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to register, do you know that?
Support.
Hopefully we've not passed that deadline.
You guys go on.
I
to
don't know,
something.
probably maybe it's in Thursday, but sometimes I read them.
Thank you, Mr. Wells, for going to that and representing us.
Well, I was-
Yes, on this one, it says.
Well, I volunteered for it,
No,
didn't I?
but it's
Yes.
like.
It's so confusing. What am I
That's
voting?
why, that's why.
Right.
Because they write
All right,
things
we ready to move on, guys?
English.
Yep.
That ends the superintendent's report, unless you have additional stuff for us tonight. No is okay?
I think you already sent it to me.
No, I haven't yet. Well, there you have it.
Oh, what happened?
No, I have, no, you're good.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the superintendent?
No.
No?
Yeah, it's coming under new business.
Okay. Student activity fees, is that what you're asking about? Yeah, that's our next on our list, so we'll jump right into that then.
Shane. If it goes off. Here. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
I think I did this.
Okay.
That's my password. It's really creative.
Student activity fees.
No.
A lot going on at once.
Your calendar or calendar?
Dar.
Or,
Potato or potato?
It's dear. I always get it wrong. Does that look right?
So the negatives are actually positives, just
I was
to
hoping that was the
orient
case,
you.
yeah.
We're working.
We're teaching children to accrue debt at an early
Oh.
age. That's the American way.
Mr. O'Sullivan will be
Preparing them for college, I see.
Mr. O'Sullivan will be making an appointment with Ms. Helton to see if they can set something in QuickBooks so that doesn't happen, but it's opposite of what you're
Okay.
doing.
Address, am I putting the SAU's address?
No, your address.
I don't give them my address.
Do you? Yeah. There are some starred accounts. Do you guys know what the stars indicate?
I don't actually know.
We can find that out.
Now, are these all invested in a single account?
Yeah, those are sub-accounts. So if you look total bank accounts where it says 70,325, that's your total in your bank account. The other are sub-accounts underneath it. So if you take the if you get rid of the negative sign and add the 43,000 to the 26,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're going to come up with a 70,000.
So What is this, 26,000?
That's just what it
Ooh,
is.
lunch choice.
That's just what's in the account that's not in any of these sub-accounts?
Correct.
So what is that used for then? What's,
I mean, those are questions we can get answers to. I printed this so we could generate.
Yeah.
What questions you had.
well, that's one of them.
All right, so what was it?
Well, there's, after we subtract all of the sub-accounts that are assigned, there's unassigned money in there of $26,000 from looks of things.
I am registered.
Where did that come from? Where is it going? What are we using it for?
Asking questions on that?
That's my, yeah. Go ahead.
Class
Yeah,
of,
where's the rest of
class
the
of
money?
2019, so that's $8,300 plus dollars. That will be deducted after they take their Washington trip? Okay. How did all these other classes get all that money in their account?
So historically, as classes have left and graduated, they've left money behind.
Yep.
And so that money gets distributed to the other grade levels over time. So there's some history here of things being handed down to other classes. So Ms. Helton just reconciled everything and took the class of 2018's money and distributed it, and I think everybody got a couple $100. So it's added up over time.
Yeah.
So typically, the class of, the 8th grade class would use their money towards the 8th grade trip, but they wouldn't use all of it, there'd still be money left over?
That's my understanding. I mean, I've only been through it a couple of times. So yes, last year's 8th grade left $1,800 behind, or, something like that, so.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a little. What else can the money be used for? Like, do the advisors, are they aware that there's money that could be
Yes,
used for
so
the
one thing
classes?
that the class of could do is to purchase a gift for the school. I think in the last couple of years that I've been here, the class advisors and the students have chosen not to do that and rather just to redistribute the money elsewhere. But that would be another option.
Okay, so
The
some of that we
class
just.
would have that, the class
They could purchase
would
a
have
sign
that
for Mr. Wells.
Is that
Purchase a sign.
authority.
sign? Yeah, there's enough money for a
Then-
sign in there.
It reverts back to the principal to distribute it if they would decide not to spend it.
Yes.
Okay.
But they may decide to actually just read, right, if the class decides to.
Right.
Just read. Now, do the advisors have total control, or is this like, do the students vote, or you, like,
I think it depends on the year, the advisor, and the class. I know Mrs. Labrie and Mrs. Corley are working hard to have this be as democratic a process as possible. So I expect that they'll give the kids a lot of input this year.
Do they have officers in the
For
classes?
student council, yes.
Is that the same as whoever is in charge of this money?
No. Student council doesn't have any direct,
Okay, so these are two separate groups.
right.
Okay. So how do kids get, does every kid in the entire class have a say if they show up to the meeting over what happens to the money?
it sounds like it's the advisors,
Just the advisors?
right? Have,
No.
I mean, does
That's what I was kind of wondering if there were kids.
As expenditures, who's in actual control of accounts? Do you have oversight of all these accounts?
Sure, so I mean, I have to approve any check that's written, and then Adrian signs the actual check, so that it's a two-part process in terms of approving the expenditures and the deposits. I wouldn't say that the advisors have control over the money. The advisors have the option of how to address it with the class in terms of what are the options, how do they handle a vote, that type of thing.
Still with
Okay,
the
so it's
approval of the
individual.
principal.
Oh, certainly, yes.
Okay, good. Referees, it's been going like this for years. I thought the auditors wanted us to somehow not get the money from, in other words, the money is in our budget for referees, and it's transferred to the student activity fund. I thought
Via
that
a
was.
purchase order.
I thought that, and again, it could be wrong, that the
auditor's
auditors didn't
gonna-
want us doing it that way.
The auditors are
And we've done it that way for years.
The auditor is going to have some recommendations about a referee account coming out on your audit, I believe.
No, I understand, because that's the only really checkbook we got, so.
I mean, you do have a
just transfer the money.
sub-account here, so that may meet their requirements. I can't answer that with any specificity right now.
Yearbook reserve,
Why do we do it that way?
how would that,
Go to sports.
would that have so much money? How does the yearbook reserve get so much money?
I think that's built up over time. Those Life Touch checks that you approve for deposit a couple times a year have gone in there. So this represents years of build-up
Accumulation.
of
Okay.
time.
So that's where the photo money goes into that account now. I think it used to, okay.
So I just had a question about the referees. Why is it we do this in a weird way?
Because you're referee, so, habit and practice, right? So you're part of a region, right? I think it's the Southeast Athletic League, or.
Yeah.
And so they find your referees, and your referees expect, I
To
would
get paid
say,
when they referee.
to get paid
Yeah.
right after they referee. Well, the only
Walk out
mechanism.
the door with a check type thing.
But we don't walk out,
Right.
we get a mail check now.
I'll be sure to correct that.
So in other words, an athletic director would put in, say, I need money for referees.
So you open up a PO, and then you do a transfer, and then you
So it's all
write
recorded,
the
we're all
check,
set.
the principal, they have a two-signature system, it's signed. For instance,
So they don't have to wait for us to sign the manifest and do all that.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for instance, in some of your school districts, I'm like the alternate emergency signer. So last week, you had two administrators that were out of the building in one of your sister schools, and I had to find one of them and have them sign, and then I needed to sign the other and get the checks up there before the games, and, yeah.
So it's all recorded and stuff.
Yeah.
Years and years ago, it would have been all done with cash. You would have had a cash box in there, which was crazy.
I
So
prefer
at least this
cash.
covers us and we record it.
You get a check today?
No, it actually gets mailed to me now.
So we could just do it later then.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Is this well publicized in the school for the people who have, like the student council and the wellness committee? Do they know this money's here and they know how much is in there and
Yeah.
they can use it and stuff? Okay, yeah. Surprised it's not used more, I guess.
Yeah, I know. Why don't they just pile it all together and get a sign?
Raised by the students, used for the students.
Yeah, for the students.
Right.
We, in theory, have no
Right.
say in this.
I know, but
Yeah.
we can convince them to get a sign.
Yes, you could. As a donation from the 8th grade, they could
Perfect.
start a fund.
That's right. Instead of going to Washington. Okay. Any other questions on this?
No,
Thank
thank
you.
you for bringing us.
Thank you for bringing it up. It's-
All right,
it's,
so
uh,
we're
good to
going
know.
to try, and I think this is a little overkill, right? So I talked to the auditors, he's like, 4 times a year is enough.
Yes.
But that throws us off schedule. So my recommendation is, not for questions or anything, but just so you have it, is if we make it standard practice when we do monthly financials, right? Like, we have our meeting, Mr. O'Sullivan's there, Mr. Burns there, I'm there, Ms. Young's there, and she brings the sheet. Then we just include it in the packet with the monthly
That's fine.
financials.
Yep.
And that way, it doesn't require when you go, when's the last time? Do you know what I mean?
That's fine.
Never bad to have too much information.
And it just makes us the same, you know?
Yep. Sounds good to me. Thanks.
Sure you.
I'll let you have that.
And what's the?
Thank you.
Is it another packet, not this?
This, yes.
Got it.
Or some form of that.
Some form of that,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, calendar committee update. Mr. Ruth, where do we stand with our calendar?
We had a meeting this week.
No, it was the last one.
Yeah, Monday we had it.
Monday.
Lose track. We had our first meeting, and we had a couple of questions, and we have one more meeting, I think, and we should be able to finalize it. We had questions about whether or not we should, we could include Columbus Day as a work day, and then there was another one that we would take parent, with the way the report cards are coming, they would be coming out a little bit later, so we would have parent conference like in December. It actually did something that we tried for years, is like, we had like 3 days scheduled off in October, so now we're down to 1. And those were the only glitches we had. Start day, because of the way contracts are written, we can only start a certain time and so many days in advance of when the teachers have to start.
So was the committee leaning towards getting rid of Columbus Day as a holiday?
Just
Is that what-
this year, yes.
I would recommend against doing that. That's just my opinion. Just because it's coming up soon. I mean, in a way, I mean, people already have
Like 9
summer
months?
plans. Yeah, 9
10
months.
months from now?
I mean, like, if you wanted to plan a year, I'd say, plan that a year ahead of time. I just
Right.
know that's the end of summer for a lot of people. A lot of campgrounds close down that weekend. That's the shutdown weekend for a lot of places.
And again, my opinion was that the percentage of kids or parents for that day, I think would be very small. And over the years in business, a lot of businesses taken that day and given it to people as a day after Thanksgiving. So everybody that works, more people are working on that day. So
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to really affect. I don't personally think it would affect the.
Yeah, I don't know. It may or may not. I just, like I said, in my opinion, I think people, I don't know.
And again,
I think people
it's
tend to expect
it's the
that.
percentage of how many would actually be going that day, and we felt 10 months in advance is enough time, so.
We were swapping it for the day before Thanksgiving, which is already
And this-
established as a very low attendance day. So my guess is that if you had to pick between the two, Columbus Day is still going to have a higher rate of attendance than the day before Thanksgiving would for an early release.
You might have another issue, though. Hold on for a second.
I have both of those days off in Winnisquam next year.
They're both of them.
But I'm also there
Totally
a
off.
little bit later in June usually.
What's our end
Am I
of,
right?
Right now, the 18th of June. I've always wanted to do it for the 15th, but the way every year the calendar is, 2 or 3 years you meet it,
Yeah.
then 3 to 4 days, 3 to 4 years you won't because of Labor Day starting on a different day every year.
And when's the first day of school?
August, the Thursday in August, last Thursday in August. 28th, maybe?
Something like that.
Because Labor Day will be pushed back a day, but
Is it a contractual issue?
I'm looking right now.
Is that for teachers or for students?
I know your SAU
for
is
students.
an issue.
Your teachers would be 2 or 3 days in advance of that.
Right.
I know with the SAU it's an issue. That's one of the holidays that's prescribed by work agreement and contract.
What, Columbus Day?
I think it's for the full-time custodians and secretaries.
I think you're right.
Like it's prescribed that day, which exact holidays? It's not like that, just a number of the.
So in my contract, it specifies Columbus Day, but as a floating.
Yeah, of course. You're just talking about, I'm going to clarify for the
All right, yeah.
calendar committee, okay?
Yeah, right, so.
Rather than plow through.
Yep. So, at our next meeting, you think we'll have a proposed calendar then?
I would hope so. We have one more meeting scheduled. To me, it wouldn't, if we get some of these things clarified, I don't think we'll have a problem finishing it up.
And when do we need to approve the calendar by? I'm just wondering about our future
I would have
meetings.
to ask
Do it the
us.
first or second meeting in February.
Okay, so there's no hard deadline where we have to have it by.
First or second meeting for.
Not that I know, I just
Okay.
know historically.
Yeah,
we've
okay.
done it.
You're going to talk about that too at the end of
That's why I'm asking, yeah. Okay, thank you. Anything else for the calendar committee? No? Slides for the deliberative session. So our next meeting was scheduled for February 7th, but that's when our deliberative session is. Mr. Rooney and I have been working on some slides. I will hand them out. They are incomplete. But we can talk about what we want to put on the last few places. Thank you. Let me each get one of these two because there's a color. There's one slide in there that's black and white that looks better in color, so.
Gotcha.
And there may well be typos or mistakes
Ooh, a
because
pie.
we're literally doing this like.
Yeah, and there could be
hours ago.
misalignments because we were both working in a Google Doc at the same time.
Yeah, that'll be fixed, that's not gonna be a big deal.
Which was my first experience with that, and it was pretty funny to watch Keith changing things.
Well, you were trying to do something.
I see what you're doing.
Anybody else want anything else?
No, I was just looking at that.
I love that pie so far. What I'm-
That is,
Yeah, I don't think we need to put it in the
I'll
minutes.
tell you, those are
What
some,
you would do.
those are some new and improved colors that weren't there when I looked at it this afternoon.
What's that?
The colors of the pie chart changed.
From last year, yeah,
Yes.
the last year, because I put them up on the screen last year and they're so light, that's why you
Yeah.
couldn't tell the difference between
Yeah.
them, so I made them nice and dark this time. But now in black and white, they look like this.
Oh, this is good. This is,
Can't win.
We're having fun today.
the stock market.
So when you see a blank, it's because I stuck a blank slide behind the article so we could describe it.
Right. So the graphs are kind of done-ish. A new slide that we didn't have last year is the contracts, a slide like 5 or 6 here. Because the new laws for default budgeting means that we need to present the contracts for multi-year contracts in order to get them in our default budget for the following year. We're gonna remove the co-brown line in there.
Would anybody like me to explain that a little further?
Yeah, because I'm not sure what you're talking about.
All right, so with the new default, so if you remember, we got a legal opinion from the lawyer, and we talked about what to do and how we're gonna default and this and that. So this is this next year's operating budget that you're presenting. And if you're going to present the contracts in your presentation to the voters, right? These are the contracts that are contained within our budget, the multi-year contracts and the amounts. If you do that, the next year, when you're developing your default, because your default is the previous year's operating budget, right? Then you get to use the higher number.
Okay.
Does the budget committee chair agree?
I do.
I mean, whatever, the secretary.
Which hat do you want me to put on?
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
specifically, I know there was some concern at the table about the busing, right? So now we're going to present that, and then... And I'll tell you, his operating budget history chart is impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty, and looking at, if you look at
See it.
the student population grade levels for next year too, if you look at the 12th grade versus the 8th grade, right, next year, the
Go round.
2021, our budget, the 12th grade's gonna be graduated, and the 8th grade's gonna move up into 9th grade. And if you look at the difference there, it's like a 30 student difference, so I would expect the co-brown tuition to go down by another almost $400,000 or more, so for the year after.
Don't let them know, because they'll jack it up.
So,
Keith, it may be semantics, I think, on the page with this.
Yep.
Just the wording, it says that procedures dictate that we present you multi-year contracts. Maybe we just want to word that as the school board presents the contract.
that's what I was thinking too, yeah, just make a nice
Actually,
title.
Mr. McGuigan emailed me late this afternoon, and I stuck that in there to try to clarify.
Oh,
So I
perfect.
expect that those
So-
things are going to get
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
around.
And I know you guys it's a working document.
Yeah. So I'm putting out there, like, if you look at the, warrant articles 3, 4, and 6, I believe, but you don't have the highlights for those yet. If anyone wants to send me anything that they think is a highlight, I'll add that in there, or Mr. Rooney. And I would appreciate that, because I don't always know what to put for these things. What's interesting.
And I'll take a glance at it tomorrow. I'll take a blow at those tomorrow and see if I can add some things for you.
Okay. Yep.
The issue that we have to deal with is Mr. Kreiner would like this 7 days ahead, so that means we need to have it to him on the 31st.
Okay.
And you're not going to meet again. So I think what Mr. McGuigan might be looking for is your approval to proceed.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys are happy with what you see so far, and if you want any suggestions.
May I request that you share the file with me as well?
Sure.
I'd just like to be able to keep checking up on it. And then my second request came from a member of the community about if we could do some effort to align our current budget, or proposed budget, with the strategic plan.
That's something else we gotta add to it, yes. Yep.
So, and that's specifically why I'm asking to help, because I'd like to be able to work on that part of it.
I think that'd be worth at least a slide, and yeah, I can share that with you if you have some, or even before I share it with you, if you go to Google Sheets and start putting something together and send it to me. That might be safer from
So-
RSA 91. point of view, but-
Right.
Since we doing all this, and we have a deliberative session on the 7th, which then afterwards you either have a meeting, or it's too late and you don't have a meeting, would we need a meeting like on the 31st, which is 2 weeks? In
We'll get to that,
a
yeah.
work session even, okay.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. I'll bring that up in the further on.
I think you were about to say something.
In preparation for those ideas about including the strategic plan in this presentation, I included the checklist in your packet.
Yep.
Yep.
Brought everybody new copies in case they needed it. You have yours, I see.
Mine's right there. Well, it was only,
I would like
I was
to-
just using it.
Thank you.
And I checked with Mrs. West, Mr. McQuiggan, you know, the deliberative session packet from the strategic plan. Her recommendation, because we have so many of these, is that I just bring 500.
That's what I figured, yeah.
You still have it?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know, love information.
I don't need it. I got one.
So do I.
Thank you, anyway.
Me too.
Let's see.
But then look convincing.
This is what you handed out at the selectmen meeting.
I hand it out everywhere I go.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I even had 2 other towns.
I was in Hannaford last night.
And you're just
So
like,
that's
here
what
you
the
go.
crowd was about last night. Okay.
All right, so first off, I'll just ask, is the board okay with what's here so far, and okay with me finishing up this?
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll get a slide in for the strategic planning. We'll finish up the highlights of the other ones,
In the past, other groups, like a budget committee, asked to have any slide presentation or anything? Not yet.
have they asked to
Yeah.
us? What do you mean?
No, in the past, people in the budget committee or somebody else would say they would like to have a slide too, to either go against what we were doing or
Budget
go for
committee
it.
has not talked about slides.
That's all.
We have nobody on the budget committee that I'm aware
Sean,
of
what's your
Oh,
schedule
I
look like?
see what you're saying.
putting together a slide presentation.
Okay, in the past,
I
we
wouldn't
had.
say that.
The next question would be,
Well, but your
have we
slide-
heard, have we got any warrant articles presented by the public?
Pretty busy until
Okay.
10:30.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask sometimes we had any petitions.
What are you doing at 12?
We have a petition.
No, I was gonna
Publicly
ask if we
wrangling
did.
children because
They
Adrian won't
said
be
no.
here.
We would have
but-
known about it
Oh.
at the public.
Okay.
What are you doing
Because it had to
Tuesday?
have been voted on.
When would the
me.
public
Did the
have to
date
get
had
one in?
passed?
By now? or-
Fairly
A long
open
time ago.
between
Yeah,
9:30 and
Yeah, this,
11:30.
the
Yeah,
deadline,
I know.
deadline is
I
passed.
know they had a different date, but.
January 8th
Yeah.
is the date that we
Okay.
had.
So just to clarify, this conversation is, there's no petition warrant articles for the school that we're aware of. I don't know if this town got any, but we
They didn't either.
didn't either. All right, good.
So that's the 22nd, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I have an idea. Ms. Young, what'd you say, 9:30?
Yep.
Can you come to my office at 9:30?
Probably 9:35.
Fine. All right, so Ms. Young and I will meet Tuesday at 9:35, and we will look at the strategic plan and the goals and the benchmarks in the strategic plan, and create a slide that says, you know, what parts of the budget support the strategic plan.
Thank you.
Does that work?
You good with
Yes,
that?
I am
Does
good
that
with
help?
Yeah. that's-
Very
Because I'm looking at
yeah.
your social emotional, now I'm thinking of your check in, check out, well, that's part of this, da-da-da-da-da, and we'll come up with a list that at least gives us a starting point. I mean, no, it's year one, and.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we need to belabor the point. I mean, having a slide, I think, would be sufficient. 2 slides.
Okay.
Maybe you're okay. Anything more than that, I'd
Well, I
say,
think-
take it easy.
Does it
Yeah.
more-
I also think you need a thank you slide,
Sure,
right? So we'll just,
we can do that. Yep. So I'll work with the superintendent on that, and we'll see what we
right, and then I can just we can put it right into the
Yeah.
presentation. I think it's important that, I'm sorry to do this.
No, go ahead.
I think we might want to say, hey, we need to have any information we want to provide to Keith, to him by next Friday.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah, because,
Right.
we need, by the Friday after that, we need to be done.
Right. And, you know, for me, I'd like to look at it done, leave it alone, come back, look at it again.
Sure.
Come back, look at it again, come back, look at it again. thing. So,
So, yeah, by the end of next week would be good.
especially if it's going to be on a screen. Yep. Make sense? All right.
He'll go wrong, he'll still do wrong, but.
I've learned that.
Okay, we good with that? Any other comments or questions? Ready to move forward? All right, committee reports. Are there any committees that met that we have not already discussed tonight?
Budget committee met, had a hearing on the school budget, as well as the warrant articles. The one question and comment from the public that was notable, I've already related, and that's about it.
Safety committee met
on Tuesday. And we're meeting with Homeland Security tomorrow for a tabletop exercise for reunification.
For reunifications, I
Yeah.
What is that?
So if we have to displace their children away from the school,
Oh, how
if
to
they
come
in,
How we get them to their parents.
Yeah, we do that drill every year or so, don't we?
Yep, and we're good at that, but we're not
Yep,
good at reunification.
gotcha.
Which is a widespread issue that everybody's addressing.
Yeah.
It's not just Northwood.
Anything else? Committees?
No.
All right.
Committee got that one.
Old business, we do have the strategic plan checklist in our packet for perusal, I assume. Is there anything else you wanted to cover about that?
I put it in there for how we're going to include it in the project, but I think we just came up with a plan for that, so I don't know how much you need to review
Okay.
it right now.
Yep, we could review it at the same time anyway, but if anyone's got any comments or questions about this, it's probably something we should review more often anyway. Give everybody a minute to look it over, and if there's no questions, we'll move on. Okay.
Do you want those, the goals, plan included in the minutes, or just referring that you referred to it?
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, why
I
not?
would- I think,
What do you think? Are these in the minutes? You guys want the strategic plan checklist in the minutes?
Yeah, if we haven't had it before.
Yeah, I'm not sure, that's why I think so too. I
So
don't know
if
we
you
put it
email
minutes
Amy in the
before.
morning, she'll get an electronic version that you don't have to play with.
appreciate
Good
it.
idea, thank you.
While we're on it, just one thing.
Yeah.
High, medium, low, who, when you guys did the school board say, okay, student choice and learning is a low priority, is that what that means, or is that? am I making
No,
sense?
it means that there's other, so an implementation checklist for me, you guys develop the overall plan, right? It's up to the building administration with my support to figure out what parts to implement first, which are high priority.
Yeah.
What parts to implement second, medium, and what are low, and what's already in place. So we do that as a way, and we haven't, we've only done this once, because then budget season comes and boom. So we do this so we can revisit it and then provide it for you. You can definitely say, I think this should be a higher priority. But generally, it's our working document for implementation. Does that make sense?
We can't just say everything's high, unfortunately.
No,
That's not.
you had
Right.
5 that were high, 14 were medium, and 13 were low.
Right.
So,
Because it's
yeah.
a 5-year plan,
Yep.
so
Would you say that a competency-based system is not in place at all, or is that partially in place by now? Sounds like you guys.
I would say that you're progressing, that it's partially in place. I think when we did that, that wasn't in place. What would you say?
I would disagree. I
Yeah.
don't, we're still in the implementing of standards-based instruction.
Yeah. So, but it's a high priority
Yeah.
to get it in place.
Anything else on this? Thank you for including that.
No problem.
It's good to have that in there. Okay, that's fine.
Hey, just before we move on, the administrative team's meeting on going through this document fairly soon because its budget's been the focus for the last few months. That's what we just said, right?
Tuesday at 9:30.
Awesome. The next time that we have this presentation, could we just, I don't want it tonight because it's been a while, but could we just get like a little bit of detail where things are in place, what exactly is in place, and how we're gonna just, yeah. Thank you.
So I think our goal is to do that in the first monthly meeting. Okay, we go over that, so maybe at our next first monthly meeting, maybe not February. You know what, that might be good after.
Okay.
No, but it might be
Yeah.
good to do it after the election too. That might be a good time to get
first
it.
monthly
That way we'll
meeting.
review it with
Right.
everybody on
Reorg.
board. Yeah, after
Yeah,
the
the
reorg.
reorg.
Or after the reorg.
So after the reorg is your first meeting in April.
Yeah, let's do it, let's plan on that then, at least.
Yeah.
If not before.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you're gonna be reviewing it?
Going over a little more detailed review of the strategic plan.
And like, I think I can answer a lot of them, but just to make
No,
sure we
I
have
think
that
that's-
discussion, you know, it would be. I think
Right.
that would be good.
Yep. Moving on to our parking lot items, we do have the addition of something. What did we put on?
I put it on your timeline, not your parking.
What was that?
Put it on your timeline, not your parking.
Was that a re-
I'm getting there.
Was it a timeline thing?
I think I just wrote it.
Primex?
It was the Primex, because you're gonna have to do that every year.
That should go in the parking lot. Oh, you think we're gonna get a holiday every year?
Well, you could.
Okay. That's fine, then. We'll put on the-
I mean, so the way they determine the holidays, they take your year-end and your experience. You could potentially get one every year if you're,
Okay. That's fine, the timeline, yeah, if it's a recurring thing, let's do it on the timeline. I think that makes sense.
I put it in under March, Primex Premium Holiday Discussion.
Okay. We'll have to remember. And then, next March when we're there, we're like, what the heck is this?
I'll remember if I'm here.
I thought we were gonna wait till after the budgets, or after.
Yeah, we are.
So in March, second meeting in March.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Newsletter, done?
Mostly done.
What?
I'm going to make it look pretty. It's not very pretty right now.
Yeah, I'll pass them out.
Yeah, here. Just pass them all. I'm missing some information for like the budget, because we couldn't put that
Right.
We're gonna run out.
This had been
Another
the
one.
budget, the default, the operating, and the warrants will be posted on the SAU website hopefully tomorrow.
in. Perfect.
I just needed to wait for the MSPSB to be signed.
That's totally fine. I just left them blank.
You have one more, Amy? It'll be yours, I guess. We'll
Yeah.
do this.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
Just for Scott.
Sure.
I can look on.
I like how you tied it back to school board goals, that's great.
Yeah, I figured that would go along with the strategic plan
Mhm.
too. And I did want to include this on there too, like just a link to it. Can we do that?
I could get you that.
Or something?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
I can get the PDF of
Okay.
that.
I just wanted to give everybody the information so they
Mhm.
had it.
Yep.
You wanna see it?
Yeah, and I'll just make it look less, I didn't really have time to format it, but if you want, if you want it less wordy, or if you want other warrant articles, I just kind of went with the big ones.
I think that's my input anyways. I think the work you've done is really appreciated. I think people are gonna read it. I don't think they wanna read like 3 or 4 pages,
Right.
budget stuff.
Right, yeah.
That's what I figured.
Especially since my winter edition is like many pages.
So, what's the plan for distribution of this?
So, I was gonna send it to the forum,
Okay.
SV Sun, I don't know if they're charged or not, I don't know, will they?
Perform?
If you put it
No.
No,
in
the
like
SB
an
Sun.
article,
Like an article for
then
the,
there's no cost. If
Okay.
you put it in like an ad, then we'll
okay,
charge for that.
so I'll just send it like a article then.
Yeah.
And then it-
News of Northwood School Board. yeah.
Facebook,
Can't you, if you bring all your copies, right? So say if you made like
yeah.
1,500
That
copies.
costs money, though.
Yeah, I'm just saying, we have,
It's
budget.
it's like hundreds of dollars.
it's a couple $100
Yeah.
to do,
They charge because they put them inside each
The
paper.
mailer, it's
Right.
work.
We're talking about the forum or the Sun?
No,
Sun
the Sun.
Cook.
Sun, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I looked
Yeah,
into
they-
it's hundreds of
Was
dollars.
about
I mean, yeah, you can do it
150
and
was
you'll
about
bring
150
copies
bucks.
yourself.
Well, I was gonna bring that up now that we're talking about it. I know there's.
I think that's peanuts.
The yeah.
But if we can get it as an article, we get the same thing. So-
The selectmen the last few years have put something in
The
just
voters
before
guide.
with like all the warrant articles, who's running for what. And if that was, somehow would have, if we decide, that's what I was,
That would be a good
Yeah.
idea to do like at a later point, I think. yeah.
especially ours is gonna be real small compared to what the town warrant articles and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
they
It's still, let
just,
the people know.
they just go by how many
Right.
pieces
Yeah.
they have to sort into.
Yeah.
Can
So
you,
they told us.
For the next meeting, we can probably have a discussion.
Ms. Hanovan, when it's done, can you also send it to us at the SAU? We'll
Sure.
put it on a link on our site.
perfect, yep.
Great, thank,
Can we send it out in the Laker as well?
I can put it,
Oh, yeah.
You can, I
Let me
can
make a list.
tweet, no, I'm not gonna tweet it, but I can.
Put it on
post it
Facebook.
To
Tweet a
the
link.
Sun,
To
the
Facebook,
forum?
yeah.
It's on the
Post it on
forum.
Facebook.
You could tweet it, you could tweet a link.
and
You're gonna teach me a lot.
It's not hard.
I know, I just gotta go through it a couple of times.
You know, if the community
Looks
chat
like it's a whole.
gets a really good response.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
fun.
Commenting off.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. We get kicked out of the group. Thank you very much for putting this together. That's great. I think that's awesome. This is the, 2 more than I've ever done.
Figure now is a better time.
is it at 6 or is it at 7?
I believe it's at 6.
Busy again.
It is, that's what it says on the board out front. Yep, 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Well, it's on the warrant. Hold on.
Yep, I have it in my calendar at 6.
Only because it was highlighted and there was a question mark, so I just
Yep.
wanted to be
It's
sure
six.
that
It's
that
6.
it is 6. Okay.
All right, going on for our parking lot, school safety is ongoing competency presentation in March. Are we on schedule for that? He's pointing at you, Ms. Young.
Michelle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ms.
We have
Brown,
a-
competency presentation in March.
I believe so.
Okay. We'll revisit in February.
Okay.
Strategic plan, we talked about. Blizzard bags, we'll talk about in April. Internet video discussion, we put off till February. I think that's, we should just put that on our agenda for February. The February meeting we may have. Or we can delay it. We don't have to do it right now, but. I think that
Was
was-
it internet video discussion?
Yeah,
Yep,
it shouldn't be that big of a deal, so.
right.
Anything else we want to add or remove from the parking lot? Good with that. Timeline. So I looked through this earlier, and I think we're pretty much on schedule with everything here. I don't think there's anything we missed.
In February, the last one is the summer school planning 2nd January meeting. Yeah.
We moved it, and it got cut and pasted, and it shouldn't say 2nd January
Okay.
meeting anymore.
So it's a February discussion.
It's a preliminary February discussion. I mean, if you think about summer school, you got your Title I piece, you can talk about that. You can't really talk about your special ed piece, because you haven't made those determinations until April 15th.
Okay.
So the way it's working out in February, we may only have one meeting. We can decide that after we look at the calendar. It's not our last meeting before voting, but it's pretty close. So in here, we have the board evaluation policy, BA. If I remember right, that's kind of our evaluating ourselves towards our goals, how we did this year before the election. So that's something that maybe to keep in mind in the next meeting when you come. We'll try to get the goals in the packet, the February meeting at least, our board goals.
Yep.
Also, feedback on non-CBA staff, so have something in mind, so that the non-contract, so that the administrative positions. Mr. Rooning will be doing his evaluation, at some point in March, so this is our opportunity
Right.
to give our
So,
feedback before then.
At that meeting, what we'll want to do is go into non-public, and you can give feedback on non-CBA staff other than Ms. Young, who will be with me, and then Ms. Young will leave, and then you can give me feedback then. Does that make sense?
And discussion of 6th grade science camp? Is there-
In the
you ready
works.
for that? Okay, cool. So,
Do you want to do your evaluation policy BA too, your self-evaluation?
So, let's put that in the packet. We may have 2 meetings, a second meeting where we can do that in March. The first meeting in March, we might be able to do that. Let's have it in the packet so that we see it and have it for,
So 6th grade science camp,
yep. So these are all gonna go on our agenda for our February meeting, so I'm proposing.
except for,
Second.
except for deliberative session.
So, yeah, the things I mentioned, yeah,
I'm just going to write everything
right. Science camp,
on timeline
board feedback, but that'll be at the end.
except
The
deliberative
next
session. All right, I got it.
And summer school planning, just kind of,
We'll just
initial
glance
overview,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Anything else that needs to be put on the calendar? I think we're pretty much covered there. Okay, future agenda items we're in the midst of doing. Anything else that we want to add to the agenda while we're here? And while we're at it, let's actually talk meetings. So, February 7th is our deliberative session. February 9th is the snow date in case it snows, but we know that doesn't happen around here.
Of course,
Not even this weekend.
this
Right.
weekend.
Right. Maybe it will be gone by then.
No snow.
We have a joint board meeting on February 11th. Now, our next regular board meeting would have been on the 7th, but because deliberative session got scheduled for that day, we do not have a regular board meeting that day. And our second meeting in February is the 21st. That might be a long time to go between meetings, so we may want to play around with that and see what we can do. I don't know that we could schedule a meeting after the deliberative session, but that is an option. It's not what I would prefer. Maybe what a better idea might be to take that second February meeting of the 21st and do it on the 14th instead, which is the week after deliberative session.
Are you confident you're gonna be all?
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's Day, yeah.
Are we confident we're gonna be all ready for the 7th? That's why I brought up coming the 31st of, 2
Well,
weeks from tonight.
that's true. We could have a meeting before the deliberative session too.
So
if
we
we're-
feel all confident that we're
Yep.
going into that meeting and slides is,
I'm all set with the slides. If you want, what I can do is when they're done, we'll send you all a copy and you can, if there's problems, we can call a meeting. But I don't know that we need one before, unless you guys want one.
how soon would we have our signature things done? So that if we skip a couple of meetings, we're gonna be getting calls to go in and,
We will be, yeah.
Well, I was thinking, what, the hand stamps?
yeah.
Well, not the hand stamps, but no, it just means payroll warrants and manifests that we have to go.
Because we won't have a meeting.
If we don't have a meeting until February 21st, we'll have to come into the SAU and sign some of these things.
Right, I wouldn't have that procedure in place until after we bring it to the board.
We're not talking about the procedure.
Yeah.
We're talking about actual, just doing it like we have been.
Yeah, you would have to come in,
Yeah.
or I would drive around, and I don't mind doing that.
So our choices are, we just stick with the schedule, right? Delivery session on the 7th, our next meeting's on the 21st, and so I won't see you guys, I mean, we'll see each other on the 7th, but, we won't have a meeting for about a month. Or we can reschedule to be earlier, or we can do something before deliberative session.
I don't know, I'm an old timer, I don't like skipping a lot of meetings, and then all of a sudden you get piled up on the
Yep.
second one in February,
Right.
so.
Especially since that might be our last one before
Well,
the
you'll have one more
election-ish.
in March
That's true, we
that
have one
comes
quick
before.
one, yeah. Yeah, we have the first Thursday in March, we also have a meeting. And
So-
then elections are on like 2-3 days, or 4 days after that.
The other issue with the 21st is I'm not here,
Right.
and you're supposed to give me feedback on the non-CBA staff.
Well, we'll go to Florida with you and give it to you there.
Going to Florida.
So are you thinking the
That's- oh,
14th
yeah.
then?
It's a possibility, yeah, that's kind of what I was saying,
Valentine's
maybe.
Day.
It's Valentine's, is that gonna be a problem for you, Mr. Wells?
It is. I'm gonna-
Whoa.
It is.
I think
get
I'll
out-
care more when my kids are older and I don't have to get a sitter, but I'll be fine with coming to the
What
meeting.
happens on Valentine's Day? Is that supposed to mean something?
That's dinner,
You kidding?
stuff like that. I'm fine
So,
with
I
it.
mean, if we're looking Thursdays,
35
Valentine's Day is the
years.
only Thursday that's available.
You could pick a Tuesday and have a
Go
special meeting.
afterwards and buy all the
Okay.
candy after.
We could have special meetings on Tuesdays.
No, it's Dave's TV night.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Tuesday night.
So it'll go fast, so you can.
If we're done before 8, we're all set.
Well, it's really not much on the agenda.
What day did you say?
Yeah,
Tuesday
we'll
the
push,
what?
we'll push that to the 21st.
I'm not here on the 21st.
What happens?
Some of it we'd have to do before that.
Getting lost.
So we'll do that. We don't have to do everything on the,
So Tuesday
What about
the
that?
12th.
What about if we do the 14th and we do half the agenda for the stuff that we need Mr. Rooney for? And then we'll do the rest on the 21st.
It's fine with me.
Does that work? Or if we get everything done on the 14th, maybe we cancel the 21st.
Well, why don't we have the one on the 14th at a local restaurant, and that'll take care of half of Shane's problems.
Because we don't have cameras.
Because I don't think Shane wants us there.
no. Be quite awkward.
So, would that work for you if we do the high priority stuff on the 14th? And then
I'll be here.
we'll do it quick. We'll plan a quick meeting, be done in an hour.
All right, so I'll take a look at agenda next week and try to work with you on making sure that's
Okay.
short. And then maybe one at the 21st, all right?
And then 21st, and then.
Can I make a recommendation about deliberative session? Because if anything happens at deliberative session, you need to revote after, right? So I'm going to post a meeting,
Yes,
To
and then
follow
we're going to
deliberative.
cancel, and then we're going to cancel it.
you can cancel it.
Or just immediately close it, right? I mean,
And close
For,
it, yeah.
for
There you go.
immediately after deliberative
Seven.
session.
Yes.
for after
Yeah,
deliberative
no,
session.
that makes
Oh,
sense.
so right immediately after.
Immediately after deliberative
Yes.
session,
Okay.
yeah.
What about the 31st? Is that this too soon?
No, well, I mean, that's 2 weeks from now, so I mean, that's not. Do we have stuff we need to do? by
Well,
then?
how, you've got to remind me, how do you do your
Well, calendar,
deliberative?
done, we're gonna be done before then, calendar.
Oh, I'm not here on the 31st, though, but you guys can still meet,
Then
it's
don't do
fine.
it the 31st.
Who does the primary presentation, you do, right? The
Yeah.
chair?
Alright.
We just support you, right?
Hope so.
I have to, I don't know about you guys.
So I believe the budget committee will make the proposal for
do.
the initial, for the budget, for the warrant.
I
Ju-
move
just
your
the-
budget article.
Right,
You guys do the rest.
and then I will move the other
Warrants
ones.
and all the other.
And typically, you would be seconding them, the vice chair would be seconding them. And then I'll do, after each warrant article, he usually gives us time to, if he remembers to present our slides and talk about each one, so.
I'm trying to think. When the budget committee makes their proposal for that figure, one of us should get up, or the chair, to accept that
To
figure.
second it.
To second it, only so that then there's somebody that's in the audience
Right, doesn't
wouldn't
go.
come up and say, oh, I want to
Change
cut
it.
10%.
Right.
And do you folks restrict reconsideration?
We do if we feel, the town has done that on a regular basis, if they
Right.
feel that
Right.
there's
So
gonna be
you're-
a.
Every year we
But
choose.
after
so-
the vote.
After.
You're
Yeah.
probably going to pick a board member, and that's their job, is to,
This is
because I've
now
watched people
reconsider.
forget. So one
You
board.
or if somebody forgets, then you're looking at the guy.
Well,
who
I mean, if
forgets,
that's
but yeah.
I was gonna say, I was gonna nominate you to be that
I
person,
mean,
but I
I
guess
see-
not.
if that's one board member's job, is to
Young people
restrict,
gotta take
is to make the
over.
motion to restrict reconsideration
what do we
after every.
say?
Right.
Okay, so
What she says, the budget
explain to me how that
committee
works,
presents a
because
budget
I
of
don't
$10.
recall
So,
seeing.
so Ginger presents Article 2.
Yep.
Keith
So that then nobody
seconds.
can change it.
We have the
They'll tell you
presentation.
what to say, but I forget what
Right?
it is, but it's
Yeah,
basically
we
what
vote.
it is.
We vote.
Well, we have comments first. but-
Comments,
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, the
discussion,
discussion.
comments, debate.
And then
Right.
somebody would say they wanted.
And then
to
they
do that,
vote.
So they would cut out the budget.
Immediately after that, you would enter
We used
with
to have fights.
another motion, and the motion would be,
Mr.
Not to
Moderator,
reconsider.
I would
I
make a
move to
motion that-
restrict reconsideration of this
Right.
article.
And somebody else jumps up real quick and says,
Somebody else
yes.
seconds it, and then they vote, and then
And then you can't
you
revisit
can't
it.
revisit it.
Because what could happen is a bunch of people could leave after the first couple articles, and then
Yeah.
somebody might bring it back up again and say, I want to change
I
the number
understand.
and stuff.
Which
has
If
happened.
we don't do that.
It has happened.
Yeah.
It has happened.
You think?
Or it's been threatened, too.
Oh, it is.
Could I offer a suggestion regarding your article for the security update? And that you get 5 signatures on a piece of paper to present to the moderator that you request a ballot vote for that. The reason I'm suggesting that is because it's kind of a controversial thing. And in Northwood, we have had situations where, well, I sort of believe in that, but, oh, Mary's here and she's watching me, and that has been a deciding factor in the past. Does it take a little bit longer? Yes, because then it's a ballot vote. But people are voting whichever way they want to, without worrying about scrutiny from friends or neighbors. It's a suggestion. In order to request a ballot vote,
Right, you need 5
you
signatures.
need 5 signatures presented to the moderator before the
I
meeting.
remember the
This is
kindergarten.
6.
I'm not a big,
from the
no, I'm
public
not, I don't like,
It doesn't
Votes
matter
like
who
that.
it is,
They
as
take too
long as
long.
those
As long as
people
5
who have
people.
signed the paper
I will
are
not be one of those
present.
people.
It's a suggestion.
Yeah, it's fine. If people choose to do that, they can. I'm not in favor of it, but.
Yeah, it just slows, well, for me, it slows it down, but it is a legitimate thing, and my guess is it would be presented anyway. Whenever there's, in the past, whenever there's been a big one, or even the regular,
Even the regular budget goes to that
Usually-
sometimes.
Indeed.
Usually, it's, if there's a request for a ballot, ballot vote on a particular warrant article, it's coming from the side that supports the warrant article, not the side that doesn't support it. Because generally, people who would like to support it are concerned about what friends and neighbors might think if it's a somewhat controversial topic. Just presenting it there for your consideration.
Thanks.
And while we're out.
And do you want the materials that we brought to the public hearing in the deliberative session?
Say that again?
The materials that we brought in reference to warrant article 4,
Yeah.
do you want those at the deliberative
The
session?
posters and
The poster and
yeah.
the sheets and the,
Yeah.
do we
think
still have those? Awesome.
Not that anyone's asked to look at them yet, but that's the time when they would.
well, they should be,
Yeah, I agree.
they should be there on an easel.
Yep,
We'll do that.
Yeah.
We redacted everything we needed to redact.
good. Yep. All right, so you're going to post 3 meetings?
The 14th, the 21st, and the 7th.
Yep, good. And we'll work on the agenda for the 14th to make it super
We're
quick.
now working on it next week.
Okay, good. We got slides coming.
One other question.
Yep,
When I had asked about the 6 o'clock on
the 7th.
Amy's handout, you've got 6:30 on your agenda for future meetings, so which is it? It
Did you
is
look up
6
on
o'clock.
warrant?
I got it.
Okay.
It's 6 o'clock.
All right,
So
then
let me
I'm
change
gonna
that.
change it on my
Thanks.
notes here. That's it. I just didn't want to be posting different
Yeah.
times
Yes,
for
thank
anybody
you.
who got the
I'll have Amy,
minutes.
I'll have Amy
Yep.
correct that tomorrow.
Thank you.
No?
And then,
Terrific.
was I correct that when you've had snow dates on Saturday deliberative sessions, you've done them at 9 AM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I was right then.
Was that a guess?
After the basketballs games,
Okay, is there any closing public comment?
Tuesday, March 12th.
None? Any board members want to take this opportunity to address the board?
That's something we hope to sign up there. We have
No.
on vacation.
Okay, I think we do, we're going to have a short non-public under, so I'm going to move to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3, 2, A.
I'll second.
Roll call in. Mr. Wells?
Yes.
Ms. McGuigan is a yes. Mr.
Yes.
Ruth? Ms. Hanneman?
Yes.
Mr. Winslow?
Yes.
We are in non-public.